What's up guys, that guy with the pencil here. I was going to do Meliodas first, but hey, he can wait, because I want to talk about the demon, the myth, the executioner, the second prince of the demon world, Zeldris. Now, Zeldris is actually pretty slept on, for a couple of reasons. One, him being the younger brother of the main character. Two, his constant statements about being not as powerful and not as good as Meliodas. And three, his initially given power level. However, Zeldris is actually much stronger within the 7 Deadly Sins universe, and this video is here to explain that. So, I'm going to be focusing in on inverse scaling rather than a versus profile for now, as with the series still going on with the Eminent sequel and the constantly evolving meta in terms of power, speed, and more. Zeldris always having the ability to come back and get more and more powerful in the series. This will just be a compilation of current Zeldris' true power within the 7 Deadly Sins. Zeldris first truly appears as the leader of the modern 10 Commandments, taking his brother's old role, and from his introduction onward, Zeldris is an actual monster in terms of raw power. Post-Druid Meliodas in Demon Mark, a character who was casually handling 2 other mid-level commandments, couldn't even damage Zeldris. He landed a clean hit on Zeldris' face and couldn't even scuff him. Not only is he drastically more powerful than this Demon Mark Meliodas, but he's also much faster than this Meliodas. Zeldris is able to draw his blade fast enough to dismember Meliodas and catch his wrist full swing and put his blade away before Meliodas could even finish his attack. Then, even at Meliodas' revenge counter, where every other commandment is freaking out about how Meliodas is going to kill them all, Zeldris doesn't even seem to falter that much. He doesn't even sweat it, and shockingly enough, based on what we see later on, it's likely that Zeldris could have taken that attack. The next time we see Zeldris appear prominently enough with discernible feats is in the past, when he is present in his executioner role. What occurs when he goes to get Gowther, the most powerful Hax magician at the time of the Holy War? Gowther runs. This is the same Gowther with enough magical might to create another one of the most powerful beings in the verse, and able to manipulate the memories of multiple high-level beings across a multi-dimensional scale, and he doesn't even bother trying to fight Zeldris. Zeldris then stands back and allows Diane/Droll to dance up and multiply their power up to 6 times if present Diane is any indication, and instantly one-shots and seals an Amp Droll, and makes him join the 10 Commandments. While in the altered timeline, Diane Droll runs, in the initial timeline, Droll submits because he knows he cannot defeat Zeldris. And it is also implied, yet not shown, that Zeldris was able to quell and enlist a bloodlusting Loxinia, who after the supposed death of his sister was ready to kill everyone and anything. Both the first kings of the fairies and giants were extremely powerful beings with great hexes and abilities that easily scale above other lower commandment tier fighters that Zeldris in a casual based Demon Mark was easily able to dominate and subjugate. It is also heavily implied that Zeldris on occasion encountered and fought the original goddess Elizabeth, a powerful being in her own right, being shown to relative to true body Ludishel and even stronger than the 2 lesser archangels. Back in the present, Zeldris also apparently survived a late morning Escanor's cruel son with no issue at all, while Esterosa was nearly killed by it. But let's go on to the main event, where a lot of Zeldris' scaling comes from. Zeldris becomes a much more central character after his talk with Merlin, and we get a pretty massive feat for Zeldris. When completely caught off guard by Ludishel and getting blasted with a massive beam of light, his literal weakness, he sort of just tanks it just fine and then responds to an attack of his own. Ludishel doesn't even dare fight Zeldris again after Zeldris blasts him, rather he retreats away from Zeldris to go get help, while Zeldris returns to his mission of collecting the commandments. This is a Ludishel in his prime vessel, the one that he wanted the most, and he barely managed to damage Zeldris, and then proceeded to go away from him to go get help from the rest of the 7 Deadly Sins and the rest of the human army, because he did not feel like fighting Zeldris in that moment. And then, the only real loss we get for Zeldris is against Meliodas, who admittedly just sort of bodies him, and Zeldris himself does state that his older brother is his superior on multiple occasions. However, we see Zeldris do some crazy stuff here, like dropping in and matching Ludishel, an Archangel, in sword combat in his base state, while Ludishel is in his preferred vessel. Zeldris is also stated to have the fastest swordsmanship in the demon world. And note, this is not being said by a demon, this is being said by a being from the celestial realm, quite literally an entirely separate dimension from the demon world and the human world. So that means the word of Zeldris is widespread. If this statement is to be believed, it means Zeldris has better swordsmanship than Cusack, Chandler, his brother, his father, and while the last 2 may be a bit of wank, it's not like anyone denies it. Then, the instant Zeldris powers up to something near his full strength, he's able to dominate Margaret Body Ludishel, post-Infinity Merlin, late morning Escanor, and scare Cusack and Chandler, and quite literally become unbeatable due to his swirling darkness in combination with his magical immunity. Ludishel states that Zeldris had actually surpassed the divine territories of the Gray's Flash, and that he couldn't even react to Zeldris anymore. The only solution to Zeldris in that moment was quite literally the One, a character shown able to box on even ground with the full power Demon King. And even then, unlike a suppressed Assault Mode Meliodas who got one-shotted by an air slash, Zeldris was able to block the One with his sword, survive getting pierced by the One, and then getting slashed apart by Ludishel, and afterwards was still able to recover quick enough that he could not be killed. He then proceeds to go on to fight alongside the original Demon, a being that is quite literally two of the highest level demons combined into one person, with a bare minimum power level of 341,000, and fight on par with Full Wings King from a distance. For reference, Full Wings King, freshly awoken, casually slapped a 4 Commandment Mael who had a power level of over 200,000. This same king, from a distance, not only damaged the original demon with just one spear, piercing the original demon's shield, but was actually about to vaporize the original demon on sight. The original demon, the moment he appeared, convinced Merlin that she, Escanor, and Ludishel had absolutely no chance of victory. But Zeldris, the absolute mad lad, doesn't even stop there. So, here's Mael. He's a pretty strong dude. You know, the strongest Archangel, near noon, scales above the true body Ludishel near noon, relative to Prime Meliodas. So, this Mael pops up. Not only does he dispel a true knight from the original demon of all characters with just his appearance, but he one-shot slaps the original demon. And not just any original demon, but an amped original demon. It takes one attack. However, Zeldris, after taking ludicrous amounts of damage and healing again and again, losing more and more stamina and power, fighting against high-level beings like Archangels and Optimal Vessels, Escanor's Peak, Post-Infinity Merlin, and Full Wings King, Zeldris proceeds to fight on par with Afternoon Mael. Then, just to go even crazier, Zeldris, once his true drive awakens, manages to actually blitz Mael, slice him apart, and almost kill everyone if it wasn't for King and Zeldris' own fatigue. Then, Zeldris proceeds to almost casually one-shot a creature created from the Demon King in his preferred body. He then proceeded to do it again, and then had to get his power stripped away by his father, and then, even after all of that, he proceeded to survive an attack from his father, and the Demon King's Optimal Vessel. And still, after getting repeatedly battered and beat up and expending his energy across multiple battles, he just lived it all. Zeldris is a monster feat-wise. The man's crazy, and guess what? He did all of this, all from his fight with Meliodas on, with no commandment. As we know, commandments buff their holders to a good degree. Estarossa went from Archangel fodder to fodderizing the Archangels after absorbing just one more, so it is very, very likely that Zeldris, with his commandment, would have actually slapped Ludishel and Margaret Body in regular Demon Mark, would have beaten Long Distance King, and probably wouldn't have been able to beat Afternoon Mael. The true peak Zeldris is really the Zeldris in the Meliodas versus the Ten Commandments fight. That Zeldris is a beast that may only be slightly weaker than his prime brother thanks to all his feats and fantastic scaling. When you think about it, this Zeldris, at that fight, is drastically above almost all the entire series until we get to the endgame. He's superior to a majority of the sins, if not all of them at that point, minus the one Escanor at the time that he appeared. He's superior to every single other commandment, and is really only rivaled by his prime brother and other beings of that caliber and beyond. He doesn't have much, if any, competition in terms of his tier. Now, why is Zeldris so strong? Well, Zeldris is the second son of the Demon King, second leader of the Ten Commandments, and a well-trained warrior that is known for his power. However, he does have some abilities that truly push him over the edge into being undeniably powerful. One, he has basic demon biology. He can regenerate, manipulate darkness into weapons, fly, and shield himself all with the dark matter. He can extract souls from a distance with an incantation or with a touch, and proceeds to eat it to increase his magical strength and gain the knowledge of his opponent. On top of that, he has telepathy so powerful that he can broadcast it across hundreds of miles. He's also capable of utilizing the Hellblaze, the purgatory flame of the demon world that is able to nullify the regeneration of immortals like Bond. Not only that, but Zeldris specifically can also cast curses on people he hits with the Hellblades, able to send that person into a coma. And a person as magically powerful as Merlin was sent into a coma that took Elizabeth, who, as far as we know, is the strongest healer in the entire verse outside of her own mother, to fix it. Stack that with the fact that Zeldris can seal you away for multiple millennia like he did with an entire clan, a seal that lasted even after he was sealed and lost all his magic, and he's pretty wild just like that. However, to make Zeldris even crazier, the prime version of him has the commandment known as piety. What this commandment does, alongside just increasing Zeldris' strength, is that it makes it so if you turn your back to Zeldris, you are instantly put under his servitude. Now, that's pretty busted, because it applies to something as simple as a turn back in battle. So if someone turns their back on Zeldris, game over. To add something on top of that, to truly top off why Zeldris is an actual monster, he has a little something known as the Demon King's power. Now, what does this do? Oh, nothing much, it just nullifies all magic used against Zeldris. Even super powerful beings such as Full Wings King releasing a Sunflower Blast, which would have killed the original demon, are instantly negated by the Demon King's power. Combine this with his signature technique, Ominous Nebula, which is a swirling vortex of darkness that even surpasses the divine territory of the Graces, and Zeldris is practically invincible against anyone on his level, as it will constantly get sucked in and sliced to ribbons, and whatever magical attacks they throw are negated. It is also heavily implied that this works on hack-based attacks, as Gowther, the original Gowther, did not even bother to attempt to mind hack Zeldris when he appeared, leaving Droll to lose to Zeldris. This power also allows Zeldris to seal other people's magic away. Zeldris did this with Droll after Droll powered up. To finish off, Zeldris can clearly send magical powers across many miles and all over Britannia. So where does this all put a Prime Zeldris at? Well, it easily makes him the strongest of the modern commandments, scaling directly to, and if not above, freshly transformed Endura Derriere and Mon Speed, all three being able to slap Archangels and requiring extreme assistance to actually take down. He scales more towards the mid-tier of the end of series sins, most likely above characters like Gowther, Diane, and Merlin, but below characters like True Magic Meliodas, Final Shine Escanor, Post-Purgatory Bond, and Full Wings King. He honestly scales above all the Archangels except for Prime Mael, who he more so matches until High Noon comes. It's likely that he's actually in the top 15 characters in the verse at his peak, as the only characters that truly concretely scale above him are his father, the Supreme Deity, Final Shine Escanor, Prime Sunshine Mael, True Magic Meliodas, Post-Purgatory Bond, Full Wings King, Post-Chaos Arthur, Post-Chaos Kath, and Chaos. Zeldris is an absolute monster, but he is constantly slept on. Both in and out of verse, Zeldris is always considered the second fiddle to his brother. He was a boy who wanted nothing more than to live happily and in peace, but due to the influence of his, at first, distant brother and the brainwashing and overwhelming power of his father, he was forced into submission. This inherently made him appear weaker. He was always under someone's foot, from his father to his brother to his father again. The real Zeldris just wanted human connection, despite being a demon. His happy ending with Gilda is well earned as the boy who was finally able to stand up on his own. What's up guys, hope you enjoyed the video on the Prince of Demons and honestly my favorite commandment. It took a long while and Zeldris is far from the main character, so get ready for things like the Meliodas video. However, if you did enjoy this one, leave a like and a comment. If you want more content like this, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And please, like I said, leave that like or leave that comment. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and this is that guy with the pencil writing off.